So I'm sitting here in bed. Uh, Michelle's in the shower. I'm getting ready to join her, and then we're gonna mosey on off to sleep. Uh, Before I do that, I need to post one for today. I probably won't get around till sometime tomorrow till actually posting it. Uh, but I wanted to. This is Boy, and that was Minnie. I wanted to talk a little bit about my grandfather, or rather, what I learned from him. He uh, he fought in World War II, and he saw fascism as being a truly evil thing, and it is. And later on in life, I read the graphic novel Mouse, and read stuff by historians like Lawrence Britt and Umberto Eco, and and basically just got the same education that we all do, either through school or various documentaries we may have watched, or all kinds of stuff. So I don't need anyone to tell me what fascism is, or to how to recognize it when I see it. Uh, and I'm wondering, and the question I want to put to all any people who are still supporting Vice President Trump and the fascist regime that he wants to bring in, at what point do you finally acknowledge that he is a fascist and he does want to usher in this authoritarian regime with him at the top? I know when Joe Biden tried to, God forbid, bring about student debt forgiveness, he was labeled as a fascist. Uh, when they started talking about, oh, God forbid, we should look out for public health, and jobs, doing mask and vaccine mandates. Oh my God forbid we shouldn't, want, you know, hundreds of thousands of people to die from COVID, which did, by the way, in 2020 under the Trump regime. And Starbucks wants to be on camera. Uh, at what point do you finally acknowledge that this is what Donald Trump is? We're talking about a guy who he already, it used to be a punchline that he wanted a third term, and he made a joke about it, and said anytime he mentions it, oh, the left goes crazy and blah blah blah. Well, now he acknowledges they're looking at ways to do it. He has his underlings angry about the system of checks and balances whenever judges are often finding, making rulings against him. We have his underlings talking about impeaching those judges. He's banning reporters and journalists from the White House briefing room because they won't call the Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, which it's not, because he doesn't have the authority to actually rename anything. Which, by the way, his executive orders, he loves those executive orders because those are like social media posts on steroids. He would always try to distract us or get attention for himself by saying something outrageous on social media, and he loved the attention. And now he can just sign an executive order anytime he wants to distract us from something, or anytime he wants attention or to cause a stir. He loves being the center of attention. Uh, he can just sign an executive order and pretend it means something. Uh, we have all that, and he's now looking at how to deport American citizens. Uh, when he started talking about his mass deportations, but oh well, don't worry, it's just the people who are here illegally. We now have him. It's as I said he would, I wish I had been doing these videos back then. I often said, and they don't want to just deport people who are here illegally. They want to change the definition of who is here legally and who isn't. They want to redefine all of that. Uh, we have people who are here legally, who they have sent off to El Salvador, and now they're filing all kinds of, they're being taken to court over it, and they're fighting, having to bring these people back. My theory on that is because they were on those planes. They saw the human rights violations and other things that they weren't, they don't want them coming back here and talking about that. At what point is he not a fascist? I mean, at what point do you finally acknowledge that this is what he is? This is what he wants to be. It's what he's wanted to be all along. Don't Project 2025. He said that he doesn't have anything to do with that. He says lots of things. But here we go. As soon as he won, before he was even inaugurated, we have Steve Bannon and Charlie Kirk, and other, right-wing influencers going out there, hey, can we finally acknowledge that Project 2025 really was the agenda? And we see him doing all kinds of things now related to it. I never believed for a moment that he would take a pass on a plan that consolidates all power to him, that gives him complete power. I never believed it and you'd have to be a fool to not believe it. But see, a lot of y'all out there like the idea of him being a fascist. When he came along, we started having people, well, this isn't a democracy. It's a constitutional republic. Bullshit. My grandfather didn't go and fight in Europe by the way, a constitutional republic is a democracy. It's a representative democracy. We are a democracy. My grandfather didn't go fight and get wounded for a republic. He fought for democracy. And you all know it. You all know that we have all, back when George W. Bush was fighting in Iraq, in Afghanistan, what did we say? It was to bring democracy to those people because we had Saddam Hussein and we had to restore democracy to this place. And we all said it, and all you right-wingers said it. But now all of a sudden, ever since Orange Julius came along, Mango Mussolini, ever since his fat ass came into the picture, oh no. And y'all started saying it right then because y'all saw what he was and you still see what he was. I don't care if you acknowledge it or not, you know that's what he is. Ever since he came along, we're not a democracy. We don't need democracy. Democracy doesn't work. Democracy left us behind. It sickens me. It absolutely sickens me. And I understand now. I'm starting to understand how Hitler took over Germany. And by the way, anytime, you get people like Piers Morgan and just everybody, anytime you compare him to Hitler, it's just like some egregious sin that you've committed. Are we still now forbidden? Is it a forbidden thing to compare him to Hitler? Now it's time to stand up for democracy. But all y'all were okay with him being a dictator because you thought it would work out for you. Because you would get, you did. But now that we're starting to see it happen to y'all too, once it starts affecting you guys, see, that's always the right wing line. They don't care until it affects them. So once it starts affecting you, see, you think because you voted for him that you're going to be exempt. They don't care. They don't care if you voted for him or not. He doesn't need you anymore. He got your vote. He got in, and he doesn't have any intention of getting out. Just yesterday, or today rather, he was out there talking about Chris Krebs. He wants to bring Chris Krebs to court because Chris Krebs, who was at the head of cybersecurity, told us that it was the most secure election. 2020 was the most secure election that we ever had, and he got fired because of it. My wife, it stuck in her craw to this day. That's a sore spot with her. Chris Krebs getting fired simply because he wouldn't toe the line, simply because he wouldn't help spread and propagate the big lie that Donald Trump won in 2020. We saw violent criminals ransack the Capitol because of those lies. Oh, but Donald Trump, those lies don't, the law doesn't apply to those people. See, Donald Trump doesn't think that the law, he wants the law to apply to certain people, but not certain others. He certainly doesn't want it to apply to Pete Hegseth. The whole Signal Gate thing. Yeah. The law doesn't have to apply to Pete Hegseth. The law doesn't have to apply to the January 6th rioters. But the law certainly needs to apply to immigrants. The law certainly needs to apply to people who are, by the way, I don't condone what's been going on with at the Tesla dealerships, and I'm firmly against those kinds of actions. I agree with the motives of why these people are doing it, but I don't agree with the actions. The law needs to apply to them, and the law needs to apply to everybody who's brown-skinned, but the law doesn't need to apply to anyone acting on behalf of Donald Trump. And it certainly doesn't need to apply to him. Most definitely doesn't need to apply to him. At what point do you ever come to a point where you don't acknowledge that he's an authoritarian, a wannabe dictator, just like General Mark Milley told us? Oh, but Mark Milley, oh, he's just bitter. He's this, he's that. Anybody who calls him out on this shit always gets labeled as some left-wing nut job or some activist or someone who's got a grudge against him or a disgruntled, whatever. I'm sick of it, and I'm sick of all of y'all excusing him and making excuses for him or just plain being fucking okay with it. I'm just saying.